I'd like to thank you guys for entrusting me with your stories and asking me for advice. The last few people that I've been speaking with have all had the same sort of situations going on, so I thought that I'd make a video and share it with you guys. I can't remember everything, so I've kept my binder from the hospital so that I can try to remember when things kind of arise, so I thought I would share some of this with you. One of the things we're going to be working with today is just the different characteristics that people have, realizing when they're not being used for the better and trying to change it. There are 5 different characteristics, and no person is perfect. Every person will be in one of these characteristics from some time in their life. The best thing to do is, again, realizing when it is for the negative, taking a break from it, and trying to change it. So the first one is blaming. The example I used was, back in school, I had a really hard time with geography. So I would blame my learning on my ADHD and just say, I can't learn it, I have ADHD. It's not true. Nowadays, there are so many different ways of learning things, and the question, at the end of each characteristic, it says, what can I do differently the next time? So I had written that everybody learns at different speeds and paces, and especially nowadays, there's so many different ways to learn things, and just to try to find the learning technique that works for me. Whether you can use maybe a friend or a family member who knows you a bit more and has more patience with you. Once you've learned this thing, I can't tell you how great it feels to realize that you've learned something that you thought for so many years you couldn't do. My directions are not the greatest. I still have trouble with north, south, east, and west. However, I am able to remember directions once I've driven there a couple of times, or landmarks. The next characteristic we have is magnifying. I'll use the example I used last night on the phone. There's 3 friends in a car, you're driving along a field, and you swerve, almost hit a cow. So the first friend's going to say, oh my god, she nicked the cow. The second friend might say, oh my god, she hit the cow, it was the most scariest thing ever. Obviously, it's not true. These type of people do this because they cannot look at themselves. They refuse to look at themselves and acknowledge the different characteristics that are not good or not positive, and trying to change them. So they have to do things like this to feel better about themselves. Same conversation I had last night. The friend had asked, I have a friend, every time we go out, it's always every guy, she's telling her every guy loves her, every guy wants her. Again, they're not happy with themselves inside, so they've got to make it seem like they're the most wanted person in the room. It's how they feel better about themselves. Not a characteristic that I would like to have. So, these are just kind of one of the characteristics I try to keep away from my life, because magnifying people, especially if they, you've given them time after time and they can't change the behavior. There's no good people and bad people, but you are allowed to choose what kind of people are best suited for your life and what people are meant to be in your life. So if you've seen time and time again that these people are, not changing, not taking acceptance for the things they've done, there is nothing wrong with taking these sort of people out of your life. Any sort of people. It is your right to have good people in your life that help you succeed. And if you're looking, if your phone's ringing and you see this person's name come up and there's more negative feeling than positive, that should be telling you something right there. The other characteristic is global labels. If you haven't seen me post it on Twitter, I highly recommend that you look up the commercial for Dove And basically what it does is it shows you, your everyday person and the amount of work that goes into making a person look like a supermodel in a photo ad or a music video. Your everyday super beautiful girls, Ronda Rousey, Britney Spears, Carrie Underwood, Jennifer Lopez, like, they don't even look how they look. Like, it shows you all that work that goes into it. And you've seen these pictures of these artists, with no makeup. So why are we trying and killing ourselves to look like something that is just not attainable? I have a mother who's dealing with her daughter. They are Latina background, and the daughter by any means is not fat in any ways. Her mother calls it a Pepsi bottle figure. So basically it's, the typical body structure that Spanish and Latina people do have, which is, skinny, and then around the booty it gets a little bit bigger, and then it goes skinny again. So she gets picked on a lot at school, and she comes home and she refuses to eat anything. All she wants is salad and vegetables, and here's a girl who's not even in grade 4 yet. So one of the things I try to tell her is try to get your daughter to realize the beauty in the in herself and in her heritage. Pointing out Jennifer Lopez, Sofia Delgado, all those celebrities that are gorgeous that people would kill to look like. Mind reading. Assuming that you know what someone else is thinking or jumping to conclusions. So an example of this would be, let's say I see something on Facebook that somebody had posted. I automatically assume it's about me, so I automatically start getting upset, defensive, and then I start writing things about them. This is probably one of the, I would say, hardest ones to deal with, because if you've been bullied or picked on a lot, sometimes you can't help but think, that people are always kind of talking about you, because back then, maybe they were laughing at you. But this is one of the hardest things to overcome. I believe that I've done a pretty darn good job of it. I'm not perfect at it. There are days where it may still bug me from time to time, but if I can have more success rates than failure rates on this, then it's better for me. We cannot say that, for example, you've cleaned the whole house, nobody's helped you, your husband's watching TV or something, so you say, you're the reason my blood pressure is the way it is, and you make me so mad. You can't, because it's not true, and it's not right. Nobody gives you that. You give yourself that power. So the appropriate thing probably would be is to say, I feel like I've been cleaning the house all day, and you've been sitting and watching TV, you haven't helped me, and it's made me really stressed, and I could use some help. It's not always going to work, but you can't blame others. You just can't. Demanding. Forcing someone else to act or feel the same way that you act or feel. Do this, not that. Not going to work. It's another characteristic that looks upon very poorly, because nobody wants to be talked down to, right? So when a lot of these things are happening, I have this, where is it? This little poem where you have, each letter is something, right? So your S-T-R-O-N-G, we're spelling out strong. S, sleep as much as you need. Not too much, not too little. If you're in depression or anything like that, you can oversleep, you cannot sleep enough. So you have to find that good, rested sleep. Taking the medications your doctor prescribes when sick to take care of yourself. taking the appropriate medications. Now, this was something I had trouble with because when I was dealing with the different spark-ups, I would take my regular medications, but then my head would hurt, so take an Advil, my stomach would hurt, try to take a Gravel. This is over-medicating, and basically it does more harm than good. So if your everyday medicines are not working, I highly recommend trying something else. Take a nap, try some meditation, and then kind of go from there. R, resisting and using street drugs or alcohol. If you're already down, when you're trying to use something else, most likely you're going to go even more down. So you need to kind of stay away from things that can help adjust your mood when you're already. Once a day, do something that gives you a feeling of being in control or mastering your world. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be something very, what might make people seem maybe childish. I like arts and crafts. So what I like to do is, a lot of you know that I have my book. A lot of you have wanted copies of it, so I've been making some for you. If any of you do want copies, please don't feel like you can't get in touch with me, because I honestly enjoy making these. When I am in a stressful situation, there's nothing better than separating yourself from everything, technology, phones, everything, and doing something else. So for me, it's my arts and crafts. So I've made, these books for people because I don't have enough books to give out like the ones I have. So I make ones like this, where you've seen me post different quotes from people and celebrities and things like that. I'm working on this one, so don't mind, it's not 100% put together yet. And I will binder clip it so that, you guys have it yourselves. And it helps when things get tough, and it helps refocus your brain and remembering that things are not as hard as you think they are. There is one more thing that I wanted to share here with you, which is our stop poem. This stop has 2 P's, and basically it's the greatest thing to do when you are in a stressful situation or something has upset you or is going on. So the first S, stop. Stop. T, take a breath. The bigger the breath, the better it is. The worst thing you can do is, somebody wrote something on Facebook, so you're going to get upset, and then you're going to respond while you're angry. You're going to say something you might regret. So this is the best thing to do. Stop. Take a breath. Observe. Describe the feelings, images, thoughts, sensations, or triggers. You can do this on a piece of paper, and honestly, it seems silly, but it really is helpful to write down everything on a simple piece of paper and then throwing it out. P, pull back, put in some perspective. What's the bigger picture? Take the helicopter view. Is this fact or opinion? Sorry. How would someone else see this? Is there another way of looking at this? And then the final P is practice what works. What is the best thing to do right now for me, for others, or for the situation? Again, nobody's going to do this 100% of the time, but when we can realize when it's happening and trying to change it as often as we can, that's what I feel the key of being a truly happy person is, and being a positive person.